And hey folks, me again back here with another video time compared to the underrated 80s sci-fi anime. So I hope you do enjoy. Like, subscribe, follow me on Amino and TikTok and Discord. And enough chit chat. Let's begin, shall we?
10 underrated 80s sci-fi anime that are packed with entertainment. When the 80s are regarded as the golden age of animation, it is no exaggeration. Some iconic studios like Kyoto Animation and Studio Ghibli, if you are saying it in English, were formed during this time, and they explored previously uncharted territories. Japanese anime was open to experimentation, and the success of Western cinema also influenced them big time. New animation technologies came up, and the stories were getting bolder and creative. It was basically a time when both production and consumption of anime was at their peak, and as a result, we had some classic gems that are appreciated even today. However, in this flurry of popular hits, there are some anime that did not make good crowd pleasers.
Make it the top.
We have arranged a list of such underrated sci-fi anime from the era that you must watch for a fascinating experience. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Battle Royal High School, 1987. Hyodo is a talented guy when it comes to karate, but he undergoes drastic changes when he is semi-possessed by a mystifying entity. There is an evil fairy master who intends to conquer the world, and he makes Hyodo's classmates mutate into hideous monsters. The school becomes
basically the anime version of TMNT then.
And soon it attracts the sword-happy exorcist and space-time police. School life is about to get ugly as it becomes a struggle to survive in these increasingly harsh conditions. With an unintelligible plot and a half-hearted script, this anime would have been doomed without the hard-hitting, kick-ass drama that ensues. It is the kind of outrageous, anarchic 80s fun that will keep you glued to the screen despite the lack of logic. The action is the biggest asset of this anime, and blood is spilled by the leader. However, it is not just about the gore, because the scenes are animated pretty well. There are some glaring problems, such as the lack of proper characters. The protagonist looks like a buffed-up 30-year-old, and certainly not a schoolgoer, and you will literally find no character to latch onto. You will not be greeted to life philosophies in this simple storytelling, but this compact version of a popular shonen manga by Shinichi Kuruma will never be short on entertainment. The English dubbing gets amusing sometimes, and the background score is not disappointing either. All in all, you can definitely give this a try, but yes, it would help if you were having a few drinks with friends while watching it. Cat, 1987. A corporate space vessel is traveling across the universe when the captain and crew realize that there is a criminal on board the spaceship. The criminal is trying to escape civilization, and the crew must find out the identity of the absconding baddie. To add to their woes, the crew is also being attacked by a deadly shape-shifting alien organism. As it destroys them one by one, they must find a way to survive before it is too late. One of the first things that you will notice while watching this anime is the influence of movies like Alien and The Thing. However, to say that the movie is a mere copy would be unfair, because all it does is take inspiration from these classics to tell a story of its own. There is significant violence in this anime, and the scene where a cat is being slaughtered might offend animal lovers. Besides the bloody violence, there are some hideous monsters that make for some cool action-packed moments. We love the scenes where the crew fights the attackers with the homemade flamethrowers. The animation is pretty impressive, especially the time and effort that went into the spaceship design. The long periods of deep space travel have been well portrayed, and even the character sketches have been on point. The alien shown in this anime is truly horrifying, and you will also love the numerous twists in the narrative. Overall, despite the influence of American sci-fi horror movies, Lily Cat is exciting and enjoyable for most anime fans. January 11, 1986. The Cosmo Academy is the most elite school in the universe, and the entrance examinations promise fierce competition. Lane has managed to qualify for the final stages of this examination, and he is now tasked with spending 53 days on a spaceship that is stranded in orbit. He is in a group of 10, and they have to survive without any communication with the outside world for this time. However, when they perform a head count, they get a rude shock because instead of 10, there are 11 people. Who is the imposter, and what is his intention?
Exactly.
Number 11 is an overlooked classic that explores the sci-fi genre with some thought-provoking concepts. The premise is that of a futuristic world where humans have grown more familiar with the vast expanse of space, and for those aspiring for the prestigious Cosmo Academy, things take an ugly turn. The narrative is riddled with suspicion and paranoia, and this makes the twists in the story pretty challenging. We also love the artwork involved, although some viewers beg to differ. But the character designs, subdued colors, and nice backgrounds make this movie a visual treat. The story of survival and cooperation in the most uncertain circumstances touches on the themes of politics and even gender topics that were possibly controversial back in the day. It might have become obscure now, but this anime deserves your time simply for offering the thrill ride that it does. Love Position, The Legend of Halley, 1985. An agent was sent riding on Halley's comet to Earth by some nefarious forces. He was tasked with the destruction of the planet, but he had a change of heart after being smitten by the beauty of the Earth. After 76 years, when the comet arrives one more time, another agent is sent to terminate the traitor who failed his task. The previous agent now lives in Vietnam, disguised as a girl, and the new one is in pursuit. Can the planet be saved? This was the first anime flick produced by Tezuka Productions and was mostly centered around the gimmick of the Halley's Comet, which appears once in 76 years near the Earth. The story is not particularly unique, and the antagonist will remind you of Arnold Schwarzenegger from the Terminator movies. The somewhat
fan of
muddled
the Terminator,
presentation
that
hurts
is the
focus of
anime
the audience.
for
The
you.
animation is definitely not at par with the likes of other anime of its time. It is clear that the intention was to sell this anime to the U.S. market.
You are terminated.
Everything from the Vietnam War atrocities to Terminator
And what
flashbacks.
happens?
We were
Happens
drawn
if you
more
put the
towards old
Terminator in
school charm of
Vietnam?
the anime and the
Yeah, it's
well-executed
gonna be a
fight
massacre.
scenes. Love Position might be lighthearted nonsense that tranks you for an hour and a half, but it's still going to be a fun watch. Violence Jack, Harlem Bomber. A devastating earthquake has destroyed the Metropolitan, and the Slum King is using the chaos to kidnap girls and selling them as sex slaves. Mary is searching for her lover through the broken landscape, and she too is kidnapped. Ken manages to save her from the torture, but the king has an interesting offer for him. In order to win freedom for Mary, he has to find a way to kill the dangerous Violence Jack. In more ways than one, the plot and execution will remind you of the post-apocalyptic setup in Mad Max. Violent Jack is actually the titular hero who is like a giant gorilla
Go
man,
on.
and as his name
So basically, if you
suggests,
took the Shredder out
violent, causes
TMNT and
problems for the gang
put
of
him in Mad
slumlords,
Max.
and this makes the leader obsess over killing Jack. More than the basic main plotline that requires you to dive deeper into the Violence Jack universe, you will be entertained by the abundance of blood and gore. The US dubbed version is crappy and ruins much of the sound effects, so we would recommend watching with English subtitles. Many people treat Violence Jack as downright trashy, but we believe there is more to this anime than the mindless hacking and killing. Watch it yourself to find out.
It's just an ad, people. Just an ad.
Never hide your Reese's eggs in a basket. I mean, come on. It's the first place they'll look.
Find out.
Some days I wish I did have a TV that had a built-in Roku in.
Lensman, 1984. A simple farm boy named Kimball receives a special lens from a dying lensman of the Galactic Patrol. The evil Boscone Empire has created a deadly weapon, and the lens contained the information that can help in facing the weapon. These lenses were created by a species called Arisians, or Aritians, and the minds of these lensmen are all merged. On the other hand, a Boscone leader also plans to get a hold of the lens. He attacks the agricultural planet of Kim, and the latter somehow manages to escape the forces. Now begins the constant hide and seek and pursuit, where Kim has to use the lens to his advantage, and the Boscone Empire is in relentless pursuit. There's often a lot of talk about Lensman being borrowed from Star Wars. However,
And if you're a fan of Star Wars, this is the anime for
was
you.
published in 1939, much before Star Wars was created. The
Wow.
story is interesting, and you have a young protagonist who is keen on doing something more exciting than farming. It is enjoyable
So
to
ba-
watch the Star Wars references
Basically,
here and there.
so basically the
Lensman
bedrock
isn't a
of
copy
Star
like we
Wars.
already discussed,
You're
but the
welcome.
resemblance would be easy to spot for the Star Wars fans. Lensman comes with the added Japanese twist of tentacles and some scary, hairy aliens. It was a pioneer in using hand-drawn and CG animation that makes for some innovative visual effects. Armored Trooper Bottoms, 1983. This is a long-run anime series
Long run,
that is intriguing
okay.
military science fiction. The story involves the long-drawn conflict between the planets Melkia and Babalent. After an uneasy truce has been established, Chiriko Kuvi, a special force-powered armor pilot, is involved in a secret mission to steal military secrets from his own army. He is now unsure of his loyalties, and he is on the run, where both the intelligence agents and the conspirators are after him. Will the conspirators get to execute their sinister agenda? Armored Trooper was a classic example of the earlier work on the realistic Mecha subgenre. We love the realism in the protagonist, Chiriko. He is shown as the typical silent badass hero who pilots a standard grunt mech. The mechs here are bipedal tanks that have some cool ammo-based weaponry,
Oh, really?
which prompts some exciting action sequences. Even when things get too serious, there is some comic relief on offer that comes from the three tagalongs Vanilla, Gotho, and Kokona. The story arc that explores Chiriko's love interest is somewhat unnecessary, but they probably added it for some diversity in the plot. Coming to the best thing about this series, the battles would have to be at the top of the list. There are plenty of exciting battles, and you will see Chiriko battling against all odds, severely outnumbered. The best part of the battles would be when Chiriko would outsmart his opponents after being unable to outperform them. This underrated classic, with a gripping story and impressive animation, surely deserves a lot more love than it gets.
Do I ever see myself off social media? I'll never let up until I'm literally incapable of continuing.
Soon the research team will walk into one of their worst nightmares and will realize that the discovery was a terrible mistake. You all probably guessed by now that Root's Search bears an uncanny resemblance to many Western space horror flicks that were being made during this time. The plot offers nothing new, and the awkward pacing affects the viewing experience. We were also disappointed with the character development that is often inconsistent and shoddy, leaving us with little clarity. Now, let us take you through the
I
fun
really need
parts
a
of this
daggone
anime.
phone
Plot with
stand, that's what I
interstellar
need.
travel, monsters in
Not a
space,
selfie
and
stick.
futuristic
No.
machinery is bound to appeal
It's
to
difficult for
sci-fi
me to
fans.
reach.
The tension in the atmosphere and the bizarre climax will make you forgive the abrupt pacing, and the set designs are truly
Reach on over.
mesmerizing. The makers spent most of their budget on the gore scenes and the biologically infected spaceships, and their efforts show in their terrific execution. In a nutshell, this is not an unforgettable anime gem, but definitely an entertaining watch for some retro-styled space horror. Love City, 1986. In a futuristic world, head meters are powerful people with psychic powers. When they fight,
So
their strength is
psychics
shown
in
on their
sci-fi.
forehead. K was one such experimental subject, but his powers never got a boost after level 5.
Magic
While
with
others could
science.
easily
I
overpower
wonder if
him
that
in
sounds
desperate
familiar.
times, his strength could increase up to infinity. AI, or A, is an innocent little girl with a deadly secret that could lead to the destruction of the world. She is
Wow.
pursued and captured, and K,
Or
along
you
with his
better
allies,
hide.
set out to rescue her. But what is the secret of K, and what is her identity? Love City is a complete package that comes with some jaw-dropping action sequences, exciting sci-fi elements, and a bit of romance. The characters are quite confusing, and it is almost tough to identify the protagonist because the sidekicks get enough screen time. The plot is shallow and cliched, but it is high in entertainment. We wish the climactic bits weren't as scattered as it was. The production and artwork demand a special word of appreciation. Everything from the coloring of the characters to location designs and character designs fell in place. The music was perfectly suited for the narrative and had the ideal cyberpunk mood alongside the trashy 80s vibe. The bright,
It was the
colorful
80s. Deal
psychedelic
with it.
scenes were brilliantly executed, and Love
Send
City
it aside,
delivered
there's-
just the
it
right
was
kind
the
of
80s.
nostalgia if you watch it today. Odin, Photon Sailor Starlight, 1985. The year is 2099. By now,
Wow.
humans have colonized much of the solar system with advancements in space technology. Starlight is a fine instance of this advanced
Well, if
technology.
that's a coincidence.
The spaceship has been created to look beyond the solar system for hospitable environments. As the crew ventures out in this
They're gonna
high-tech
find
space vessel, they rescue a
something
strange
they
girl
don't
from
wanna
wreckage
find.
in the asteroid fields. Then they start their journey towards a planet named Odin, where a surprise awaits them. This anime flick was initially planned as a trilogy, and if the makers could pull it off, the lack of clarity wouldn't be so glaring. It involved a huge budget, and if you could get your hands on the extended version, you were in for a treat. The explorer vibe is so alive in this anime that you could feel the excitement even as a viewer. Even the music adds to the dramatic narrative, and the visuals will leave you spellbound. The spaceship is stunning, and you can tell that every design has been worked on by talented artists. The characters could have been more detailed, but you would ignore the loopholes as the storyline will constantly make you wonder what happens next. Yes, the narrative is certainly cliched, but we would be lying if we said we didn't enjoy it thoroughly. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already.
Hope y'all enjoy. Like, subscribe, follow me on TikTok and Discord. And yes, I do highly recommend these animes, and God bless y'all for it. And I'll see you next video.